Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we dive deep into stories that truly inspire and offer timeless wisdom. Today, we're picking up right where we left off in the incredible journey of Joseph in Genesis chapter 40. Now, last time we saw Joseph unjustly accused and thrown into an Egyptian prison. A tough spot, right? But even in the darkest places, God's plan is unfolding. So Joseph is in prison, but he's not just sitting around. His integrity and capability shine through, even behind bars. The warden, recognizing his character, puts Joseph in charge of all the other prisoners. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? He's gone from managing Potiphar's household to managing a prison, all while maintaining his faith and excellent work ethic. It really shows that your circumstances don't define your character, and God can use you anywhere. One day, two new high-profile inmates arrive, Pharaoh's chief cupbearer and his chief baker. These weren't just any ordinary servants. They held very important positions in Pharaoh's palace. The cupbearer was responsible for tasting Pharaoh's wine to ensure it wasn't poisoned, a position of immense trust. The baker was in charge of Pharaoh's bread, equally critical for a ruler's safety and sustenance. Something went wrong in the palace, and they both landed in prison, right there with Joseph. And Joseph, being the good-hearted and observant person he was assigned to serve them. He looked after them, making sure they were comfortable, and being generally attentive. One morning, he noticed they both looked incredibly sad and troubled. He asked them, "Why are your faces so sad today?" It's a simple question, but it shows his compassion and willingness to connect, even in his own difficult situation. He didn't let his personal struggles overshadow his concern for others. That's a powerful lesson in empathy right there. They explained that they both had dreams the previous night, and there was no one there to interpret them. In ancient times, dreams were often considered significant messages, and interpreting them was a respected skill. Joseph, remembering his own past dreams and his gift from God, confidently tells them, "Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell them to me." He immediately points to God as the source of true understanding, not taking credit for himself. This humility is a consistent theme in Joseph's life. He knows where his gifts come from. First, the chief cupbearer tells his dream. He says, "In my dream, behold, a vine was before me, and in the vine were 3 branches. It was as though it budded. Its blossoms shot forth, and its clusters ripened into grapes. Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and put the cup into Pharaoh's hand." Sounds pretty vivid, doesn't it? Joseph, with divine insight, gives him the interpretation. He says, "This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your office, and you will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand, just as you used to do when you were his cupbearer." What amazing news! From the depths of despair to hope and restoration in just 3 days. Imagine the cupbearer's relief. But Joseph, ever so humbly, adds a request. He asks the cupbearer, "Only remember me when it is well with you, and please show kindness to me and mention me to Pharaoh and get me out of this house. For indeed I was stolen away from the land of the Hebrews, and also I have done nothing here that they should put me into the dungeon." It's not a demand, but a heartfelt plea. He's not asking for revenge, but for justice and freedom, remembering his roots and his innocence. This shows his deep desire to return to his family and his homeland. He hasn't forgotten his origins, nor the injustice he suffered. Encouraged by this positive interpretation, the chief baker then steps forward to share his dream. He says, "I also was in my dream, and there were 3 white baskets on my head. In the uppermost basket were all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, and the birds were eating them out of the basket on my head." Now this dream has a different feel to it, doesn't it? The birds eating the food, it hints at something less pleasant. Joseph listens intently, and then, with a heavy heart, delivers the interpretation. He says, "This is the interpretation of it. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days Pharaoh will lift off your head from you and hang you on a tree, and the birds will eat your flesh from you." What a stark contrast to the cupbearer's dream. One dream foretold restoration, the other execution. It must have been incredibly difficult for Joseph to deliver such news, but he delivered God's truth without wavering. This shows his courage and faithfulness, even when the message is not what people want to hear. And just as Joseph predicted, 3 days later was Pharaoh's birthday, a day of celebration. Pharaoh made a feast for all his servants, and true to the interpretations, he lifted up the head of the chief cupbearer and restored him to his office, placing the cup back in his hand. But the chief baker he hanged, just as Joseph had said. The accuracy of Joseph's interpretations was undeniable, proving that God was indeed with him. Now, here's the part that often makes us sigh. After all that, after Joseph's accurate predictions and his heartfelt plea, yet the chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph, but forgot him. Can you believe it? The very man whose life Joseph saved, who was restored to a position of power, completely forgot about him. Joseph's hope for freedom, sparked by the cupbearer's release, was immediately dashed. He remained in prison, forgotten for a time. This moment is so relatable, isn't it? We've all had those experiences where we've helped someone, done a kindness, or expected a favor in return, only to be forgotten or let down. It can be incredibly disheartening. But what does this tell us about Joseph? It shows his unwavering faith, even in disappointment. He doesn't get angry or bitter. He continues to trust that God has a plan, even when it feels like nothing is going right and people forget him. It also reminds us that sometimes God's timing isn't our timing. Joseph had to wait, not just for a few days, but for 2 more long years in prison. Can you imagine the patience, the resilience, and the faith it took to endure that? It's a powerful testament to his character and his deep trust in God's ultimate purpose, even when the path is long and winding. This seemingly forgotten period was crucial for what was coming next. This chapter might seem like a bit of a setback for Joseph, another 2 years in prison, but it's actually laying the groundwork for his eventual rise. God was positioning him, honing his skills, and preparing him for an even greater role. The accurately interpreted dream solidified his reputation as someone with divine insight, a reputation that would soon reach Pharaoh himself. So what can we take away from Genesis chapter 40? First, even in the darkest circumstances, your character and gifts can shine through. Joseph didn't let prison define him. He continued to serve and excel. Second, be compassionate and observant of those around you, just like Joseph was with the cupbearer and baker. A simple question can open doors to helping others. Third, remember that God's plan is always at work, even when we can't see it immediately, and even when people let us down. Joseph's story is a beautiful reminder that delays are not always denials, and sometimes the waiting period prepares us for something far greater than we could imagine. His humility in pointing to God for the interpretation, his courage in delivering both good and bad news, and his enduring faith despite being forgotten. These are all incredibly powerful lessons for us today. It reminds us to keep our faith strong, to continue to do good, and to trust in God's perfect timing, no matter how long the wait. What an incredible story, full of human emotion and divine intervention. Joseph's journey is far from over, and trust me, it only gets more epic from here. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you found this video insightful, please give it a big thumbs up, share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our next deep dive. We love having you here as part of our community. Until next time, stay blessed.